Penguin Random House Audio presents Thistlefoot by Gennarose Nethercott. Read for you by January Lavoy. For my father, Michael Nethercott. For my mother, Helen Shephards. For my brother, Rustin Nethercott. And for all our ancestors who waltzed, baked bread, loved, fought, and survived the impossible so that we could at last, here in this gentle sliver of time, meet. Prologue. Behold, Kali tragus, the Russian thistle, a bushy lump of a plant, green flowers vanishing into green leaves, its stem striped red and violet as a bruised wrist. The leaves are lined with spikes, sharp like stitching needles. You are advised to wear gloves when handling it, if you must handle it at all. Should the thorns prick you, pretend you don't feel it. It doesn't do any good to gripe in times like these. There are worse wounds to be had than a thistle prick. Much, much worse. The Russian thistle swells to life in the most arid climates. It thrives on disturbed land, flourishes in those places where a strange violence occurred, among burned crops, thirsty fields, once thriving farmlands ravaged by blight. Despite it all, the Russian thistle survives, multiplies. It can grow between 6 and 36 inches tall. When it dies, it breaks off at the base and journeys across the earth, dropping seeds as it travels. The thistle moves like a living beast, rolling and waltzing in the summer wind, licking up dust, shimmying against the unhinged expanse of the land. There's a story people tell about a man back in Russia who was executed by the state. His head was severed. When the head thumped to the ground, it turned into a fat fox and ran out through the crowd of onlookers, out of the city limits, out into the forest where it lives to this day. The Russian thistle, it's not so different. Rent from the root and running. But then, you knew this plant already. Even if you've never been to the old country, nor dragged your fingertips along photographs of the steppe, nor paged through yellowed tomes of Slavic folk tales, you know it. You've seen it in old films, somersaulting down desolate stretches of highway. Coyote plant, wind howler, the starting pistol of every good standoff. When you see the Kali tragus, you can almost taste lonesomeness, bitter somewhere in the back of your throat, or smell it in the air like a perfume. It represents all words left unsaid, stories untold, the memories that have been kicked up by storms and carried off across the untamed prairie. So many meanings, many names. Kali tragus, the Russian thistle, wind witch, the tumbleweed. Did you think the tumbleweed was from here? Montana, perhaps? Nebraska? No. It is a foreigner, too, like so many of us. In 1873, Russian immigrants arrived in South Dakota, selling off and planting flaxseed they had carried with them from their home villages. The seed, unbeknownst to them, had been contaminated with thistle. Before long, the invasive species spread across the western United States, quickly becoming one of the most common weeds of the West's drier regions. The seeds traveled by threshing crews, wriggling out into wheat fields and orchards. They hopped trains, hiding in boxcars. They voyaged in wagons and boot heels, in the bellies of rodents and the talons of birds. They traveled in great wind-blown wheels, churning up dust. They fed mule deer and sheep, elk and prairie dogs, quails and small mammals scrabbling in the soil. During the Dust Bowl, when grazing was scarce, cattle farmers filled their herds' bellies with thistle. Soon the tumbleweed had become one of the Wild West's most iconic characters. A grand joke, no? This paragon of Americana, secretly an immigrant after all. The Russian thistle disguised itself well. Put on a costume built of country songs and sharpshooters and pale rivers of smoke. They say that if you wear a mask long enough, you become what you pretend to be. Perhaps the Russian thistle is more story now than anything else. Perhaps the tales we tell about it have replaced what it once was. No more women clucking in Yiddish over thistle caught in their skirts. No more European winters graying the weeds to ash. No more shtetl gates to tangle into. Instead, a slow, long whistle under an open sky. Who can claim to know the weed's true home anymore? Even the seeds themselves have forgotten. And yet... Back in the old country, fires bloom like fields of red poppies. Kiev, Chernihiv, Odessa. Shops and homes looted. Villages pillaged. Jews hanged in their own kitchens from the rafters. Brown bread still rising in the oven. Who can tell if the room is warm from the baking or from the torch thrown through the open window? Outside a burning synagogue, a spark catches a stray thistle plant aflame. A gouge of gold light cutting open the dusk. The thistle is swallowed by heat. A fireball howling within a crumbling city. At this same moment, all across America, tumbleweeds burst into fire. They blaze tangerine orange, a nation of lanterns swaying in the breeze. And still they roll, thousands of Moses's burning bushes spinning across the prairie. Even an ocean away, something of them remembers. Even though they cannot see their old cities burn, the thistle burns with them. Even in a new land, their molecules reach backward, through time, through their own name, through 1,000 stories, and erupt into beacons of sorrow, beacons of light. Chapter 1.
Welcome, my ultimate babes, you thieves and lovers, to the greatest spectacle this side of the Mississippi.
Isaac Yaga curtsied before the crowd, his blacked thrift store suit splitting slightly in the knees. He had obsidian hair that levitated in soft waves around his head, as if experimenting with gravity. His face was pale and narrow, punctuated by a leaning, crow-like nose and pupils sharp as polished lead. If he had eaten well in the past month, you wouldn't know it, his skeleton floating inside the old suit with room to spare. Standing atop a sagging milk crate, he widened his arms to the crowd below. An invitation. Applause and a few rough hollers overtook the audience as Isaac straightened up, sweeping a charcoal curl from his forehead, where it had drooped. On a square of cardboard at his feet, a svelte black cat lounged, licking a paw. The cat ignored the clamor with poise. The show continued. 30 or so spectators had gathered in the street around them. It was the same horde of French Quarter tourists Isaac always lured in. Drunken businessmen who spent their meager annual vacations chugging passion-fruit hurricanes out of disposable goblets and wreathing themselves in plastic beads, their mistresses peacocking on their arms. Isaac winced at their endless guffawing as they stumbled through Bourbon Street's gutter milk after dusk. He despised the way they treated the city like a playground, rather than a breathing, thrumming home where real people lived, where real people died. But it wasn't as if Isaac was much better. Wasn't he, too, only flickering through? Here a few months, then gone. The same as ever.
First off, welcome to the great city of New Orleans. If you like my little show today, I'd greatly appreciate any small tokens you might care to offer me, a wretched showman. I know you came here dreaming of the lowliest ways to spend your hard-earned wages, and I assure you, friends, no money is dirtier than cash spent on street barkers.
Isaac winked at the audience. The cat blinked.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?